Imagine two men. Both are 72 years old. Both live in the same neighborhood in Columbus, Ohio. Both have the same doctor, both take medication for blood pressure, and both have been retired for 7 years. But here's the thing. One of them will likely live to see his 90th birthday. The other will not make it to 80. Same age, same zip code, same medications. What makes the difference? It's not luck. It's not money. And surprising to many people, it's not even genetics. According to a groundbreaking study by Dr. Eric Verdin and his team at the Calico Research Group, a staggering 93% of longevity appears to be determined by lifestyle factors, with just 7% attributed to genetics. So science is telling us something powerful. The most important decisions about how long you live after 70 have already started happening, and most of them are still in your hands. Today, we're going to walk through 7 scientifically proven signs that predict how long you'll live after 70. These aren't theories. These are measurable, observable, real-life indicators backed by some of the most respected journals in medicine, from JAMA and the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences to research out of Duke University, Harvard, and the National Institutes of Health. And for each sign, I'm going to give you something practical you can do about it, starting today. Let's begin. Sign number 1, how strong your grip is. Here's a test you can do right now, or the next time you're at your doctor's office. Pick up a hand dynamometer, or just squeeze someone's hand firmly, and ask them to be honest with you. Because how hard you can squeeze may be one of the single most powerful windows into your future. Think about 78-year-old Harold, a retired electrician from Phoenix. His doctor noticed during a routine visit that Harold's grip had weakened noticeably over 2 years. Not because of an injury, just quiet, gradual decline. That one observation prompted a cascade of health interventions that may well have saved Harold's life. Here's why grip strength matters so profoundly. According to the landmark Prospective Urban-Rural Epidemiology Study, which followed more than 140,000 adults across 17 countries, grip strength predicted mortality and cardiovascular events more strongly than systolic blood pressure, one of the most standard tools doctors rely on. And a study published in JAMA Network Open following nearly 5,500 women aged 63 to 99 found that those in the highest grip strength group had about a 33% lower risk of death compared to those in the lowest group, and the benefits held up even in women who did not meet recommended weekly activity levels. Grip strength isn't just about hand strength. It reflects your muscle mass, cardiovascular health, nerve function, even brain health. In one study of more than 40,000 adults, a strong grip is associated with healthier brain structure and lower rates of depression and anxiety. What can you do? Pick up resistance bands. Do daily squeezes. Carry your groceries instead of using a cart. These small acts build the kind of foundational strength that tells your body and science that you're still fighting. Sign number 2, how fast you walk. This one might surprise you. Your walking speed, not at a racetrack, just casually across a room, is one of the most reliable predictors of how many years you have left. Picture Dorothy, 74, walking down the hallway to her mailbox every morning. Her neighbor Margaret, also 74, takes noticeably longer. It's easy to dismiss. Maybe Margaret's just more relaxed. But researchers pooling data from 9 major cohort studies involving over 34,000 older adults published in JAMA found something startling. At age 75, predicted 10-year survival across the range of gait speeds ranged from 19% to 87% in men and from 35% to 91% in women. That is an enormous gap, and it's measured simply by how quickly you walk. Walking speed tells doctors about the condition of your heart, lungs, muscles, nervous system, and joints all at once. It's essentially a full-body report card in a 10-foot hallway. As Dr. Roger Fielding of Tufts University explains, normal walking speed is a very strong predictor of mortality, risk of falling, and other poor clinical outcomes. The practical takeaway is this: aim for a daily walk. Not a marathon, just a brisk, purposeful walk of at least an hour. A prospective Japanese cohort study published in Public Health found that walking 1 or more hours per day independently lowered the risk of all-cause mortality in elderly adults aged 60 to 74. If you're learning something valuable today, and you haven't already, hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Every day, we bring you the latest science on living longer, healthier, and stronger after 50. This is the kind of information your doctor wishes there was more time to tell you in a 15-minute appointment. Don't miss it. Sign number 3, the quality of your relationships. Of all the signs on this list, This may be the most underestimated and the most emotionally charged. Meet Robert. He's 71, recently widowed, and his children live across the country. He spends most days watching television alone. He eats alone. Some weeks, he doesn't leave the house. Physically, his cholesterol is managed, his blood pressure is fine. But Robert is lonely. And that loneliness, according to science, is quietly doing damage that no pill can fully undo. A landmark analysis across nearly 150 prospective studies confirmed that chronic loneliness can shave off as many years from your life as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Let that sink in. We've spent decades warning people about smoking. But loneliness is just as deadly, and it's happening quietly in millions of American homes right now. The research out of Harvard's 80-year study of adult development, one of the longest-running studies of human life ever conducted, found something beautiful and profound. The level of satisfaction with relationships in midlife was a better predictor of physical health at 80 than cholesterol levels. And the data from a 2025 meta-analysis published in Aging Clinical and Experimental Research confirmed that loneliness was associated with increased all-cause mortality, as was social isolation and living alone. But here's the hopeful flip side. An analysis of 148 studies found that people with strong social bonds had a 50% greater chance of survival than those with poor social relationships. 50%, not 5%. 50. Call an old friend this week. Join a walking group, a book club, a church, a volunteer program. The science doesn't care what form your connection takes. It just needs to be real, warm, and consistent. Sign number 4, whether you have a reason to get up in the morning. The Japanese have a word for this, ikigai. It translates roughly to a reason for being. And it turns out this ancient concept has hard modern science behind it. Consider 2 retired teachers, Patricia and Jean. Both are 73. Both are in similar physical health. But Patricia volunteers 3 mornings a week at a literacy center, tends her garden, and is teaching her granddaughter to bake bread. Jean, meanwhile, feels directionless since retiring. She describes her days as empty. A study tracking 40,000 Japanese citizens found that those without ikigai were at significantly higher risk of all causes of mortality than those with ikigai. More recently, a 2022 study by Drive Kim and colleagues found that older adults with the highest sense of purpose had a 46% lower risk of mortality over 4 years compared to those with the lowest scores. Purpose doesn't have to be grand. It can be a grandchild, a garden, a community choir, or a cause you care about. But it has to be something that pulls you forward. Purpose reduces chronic inflammation, keeps you active, and, perhaps most importantly, gives you a reason to protect your own health. If you're searching for your ikigai, start with one question. What would I do even if no one paid me, and the world clearly needs it? Sign number 5, how well you sleep. Sleep is not a luxury. After 70, it is one of the most powerful medicines available to your body, and one of the most underutilized. Think about Frank, a 68-year-old former manager in Chicago. He prides himself on running on 5 or 6 hours a night. I sleep when I'm dead, he jokes. But science suggests that attitude may be shortening the timeline on that joke. A meta-analysis published in Geroscience found that sleeping less than 7 hours a night has been associated with a 14% increased risk of all-cause mortality. The biological effects are significant. Chronic inflammation climbs, immune function drops, hormones go haywire, blood pressure rises, and critically, the brain loses its nightly window to clear out proteins linked to Alzheimer's disease. And the research from a Japanese prospective cohort study confirmed, sleeping 7 or more hours per day significantly lowered the risk of all-cause mortality with a hazard ratio of 0.49 compared to those sleeping fewer hours. Essentially, good sleep nearly cuts your mortality risk in half compared to chronic undersleepers. 7 to 8 hours. A consistent bedtime. A dark, cool room. No screens for 30 minutes before bed. These are not suggestions from a wellness blogger. They are directives backed by decades of mortality research. Now, before we get to the last 2 signs, and these are the ones most people don't even realize matter, I want to ask you a favor. If you have a parent, a sibling, a friend, or a neighbor over 60 who needs to hear this information, share this video with them right now. Longevity is not a solo sport. The more people in your life who are healthy and thriving, the more likely you are to. Share it. It might just be the most important thing you forward this year. Sign number 6, your attitude and outlook. This one may feel like a self-help cliche until you read the science, and then it becomes impossible to dismiss. Meet Evelyn. She's 75. She had a rough few years, lost her husband, dealt with a health scare, watched her retirement savings wobble. But she'll tell anyone who asks, "I'm not done yet." She still laughs at herself. She still believes the best is possible. She still plans things. A study published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, one of the most rigorous scientific journals in the world, found that optimism has been identified as a potential predictor of longer life, based on findings linking higher optimism to reduced risk of developing chronic diseases of aging and premature mortality. The research, drawing from large cohorts of both men and women, found that the most optimistic participants lived significantly longer and were more likely to reach age 85 and beyond. Why does optimism help you live longer? Because it changes behavior. Optimistic people are more likely to seek medical care early, more likely to stay physically active, more likely to maintain social connections. And it changes biology. Optimism is directly linked to lower levels of cortisol, the stress hormone that quietly ages you from the inside out. You don't have to pretend life is perfect. But giving up on possibility is a biological risk. Science says so. Sign number 7. Your ability to do everyday tasks. The final sign is one of the most practical, and it came out of a remarkable study by researchers at Duke University, published in the journal eBiomedicine. Doctors followed over 1,500 older adults to determine what actually predicts whether someone over 70 will live 2 more years, 5 more years, or 10 more years. They examined hundreds of biomarkers, blood tests, and health measures. And after all of that analysis, one of the leading predictors of 10-year survival wasn't a blood test or a scan. The leading factor associated with longevity across each of the study's benchmarks was physical function, defined as the ability to go grocery shopping or perform house-cleaning chores. Not whether you ran a 5K, not whether you were cancer-free, whether you could still do your own shopping, whether you could still clean your own home. This is what scientists call functional independence, and is a profound indicator of how all your systems are working together: muscles, heart, lungs, joints, brain, and spirit. The practical advice here is equally simple. Do not outsource your movement if your body can still do it. Rake your own leaves. Carry your own bags. Cook your own meals. Every time you choose to keep moving, you're sending your body a signal that is still needed. And the body responds to that signal. Here's what the science ultimately says. After 70, you are not in decline. You are in the most critical chapter of your health story. And 93% of how that story ends is still being written by choices that are largely in your control. Walk more. Squeeze harder. Sleep 7 hours. Call someone you love. Find your reason to wake up. Think one generous thought about tomorrow. And keep doing things for yourself with your own 2 hands for as long as those hands will let you. These 7 signs are not a verdict. They are an invitation. If this episode spoke to you, please leave a comment below. Tell us, which of these 7 signs surprised you the most? Your answer might just start a conversation that changes someone else's life. And don't forget to subscribe, because next week we're going deep on the single dietary change that one Harvard study says adds the most healthy years to your life after 65. You don't want to miss that one. Until then, keep moving, keep connecting, and keep going.